Hello friends and welcome to this new video. Like many of us, I have watched the Netflix show Bridgerton. And not only the story is great, but the costumes are stunning. Now the story takes place in the Regency era from 1811 to 1820. So to give me a starting point, I used the book Regency Women's Dress Techniques and Patterns. But a challenge was ahead of me into making the pattern I chose fit me, hence the length of the video. So since this is going to be a very long one, please grab a coffee and enjoy this. On the right screen, you can see the inspiration pictures I found on Pinterest. Popping in real quick the pics here, the Regency era fashion was characterized by the empire waistline, which simply meant raising the waistline right below the breasts. It also features puffy sleeves gathered at the top and bottom, and a rectangular skirt slightly flared at the bottom and gathered at the waistband. These dresses were often sheer and wore above undergarments like chemises or petticoats. They were often made from silk or various sheer fabrics. Starting in Photoshop with a picture of the pattern I had chosen, I carefully select the square of the grid, which equals 1 inch by 1 inch. I then copy it and select File, New, from Clipboard and hit Paste. Then you want to go to Image Size, make it 1 inch and write down the aspect ratio in percent that is right above where you selected 1 inch. Go back to the picture of the pattern, select Image, then Image Size, and try to match the aspect ratio of the grid. Mine was 400%. Once that's done, hit File, Save As, Photoshop PDF, and save it where you'd like. Moving on to opening the PDF file, select Print and hit Poster. Make sure you have it set to 100% scale and there are no overlap. Print the pattern and let's move on to assembly. So after doing all the pattern stuff and whatnot, I am left with this. I only want to fit the upper part because the skirt is going to be gathered and I won't have to worry about it not fitting because it's ultimately going to when I gather it. So what I did here is I measured every part of the bodice. So for example, we're going to do the front part. It's 5 centimeters plus 9 centimeters. And then I'm going to have the back part also. So it says here gathered to 4 centimeters, which I'm not gonna do because this pattern is slightly smaller than my waist. So here I have 5.5 and I have here 9.5. So what that's gonna give me is the 1 is gonna become 10. I have 15. 15 times 2 is gonna be 30, and we have 38 here, so it's gonna be 68. And my waist measurement is 77. So here I'm lacking a solid 10 centimeters, which we're gonna add by only adding 2.5 centimeter here. So if this is times 2, then it's 5 centimeter here, and 2.5 here is going to become 5 centimeters, and ultimately I would have added 10 centimeters to my bodice. Now onto the sleeve pattern, which I wanted to fit, and this is a solid measurement. So we're going to measure that. It's 8.5 plus 5.5. So the half and half is going to become 9. 9 plus 5 is going to become 14. And then this is 10 centimeters. So it's 24 centimeters. And when I measure my arm here, plus the fat, you gotta squeeze that arm to make it fit. It's roughly 30 centimeters. And here we have 24, so I gotta add some centimeters to this. And this is 22, roughly 21.5 centimeters. And my arm is 30 centimeters, so we gotta address that. So this is the changes that we're gonna be making for the pattern. So I'm gonna grab a piece of paper and we're gonna trace them back. I have here my piece of paper and we have a French curve. So I hope you can see it. And we have this, I don't know, small ruler. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna start with the bodice. So I'm gonna trace it. I'm gonna use a pen in hopes that you can see it. So I'm gonna do that to the rest of the pieces and I'm gonna come back when it's done. And I was wrong. I have to add 5 centimeters. But here I'm going to add 6. So I'm just gonna elongate this line here. And then actually going to use the side that's gonna give me a square. So like so. We're gonna go like so, and then we're gonna take the French. We're gonna try to match this. It's not gonna be quite like it, but it's good enough, So here we added 5 centimeters, and this is the bodice back. This is the side back. Then we're going to be adding 5 onto here. So I'm just going to have, So if I add 5, it's going to become 10. Again, I'm going to use the side that gives me a square. Go all the way up. Take the French ruler. Try to match it. And then you go like so. The front bodice. So I added my usual seam allowance, and it's 1.5 centimeters. I added the 5 centimeters here and 5 centimeters here because earlier I was wrong on the math. So this portion is 28. So I needed to have 5 in order to be 10. I needed to add 19 centimeters, but I added 1 so that I can gather this tiny part. And that's it, I guess. We only have to cut our pattern now. So that's what we're gonna do. So we gotta adjust the sleeves. So I'm gonna check real fast if my earlier measurement was right. It's gotta be 25. So my arm is 30. So I gotta add 5 centimeters again. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna split this into half, and we're gonna add the 5 centimeters that are lacking, and we're gonna match it to just going to trace it here on this last scrap of paper. So this is sleeve band. I'm gonna measure again just in case. 21.5. I'm gonna go here, find the 30 mark. So I'm gonna go from here, find where is 30, and I'm gonna do the same from the bottom. So next what we have to do is make a mock-up. So we're going to fit the sleeve, we're going to fit the bodice, and we're going to see what we need to change. So the next day I cut the pattern we had made changes to, and I sewed the front darts first. Then I assembled the back with the 2 side back pieces sewn right sides together on each side of the back piece, and then sewed the shoulder seam of the back and front. And then sewed the shoulder seam joining the back and front. Next, what I had to do was fit the bodice on my mannequin, and oh my god, this was an experience. So fitting the bodice was a nightmare to me because I've never had done that before. I always make garments I know how to make, and I wasn't actually schooled in historical costuming, but I took it as a learning experience and I did my best. I didn't give up until the bodice actually fit me. So after fitting my bodice, I did the changes. I just folded the initial pattern. And I'm having an issue with the armhole, which is looking like this. I gathered like recommended and whatnot, but I don't know why it's looking like this. Like, I don't know what I did wrong, but I'm gonna seam rip and adjust the bodice and see if it fits. And then I'm gonna redo the arm. So update. I actually kept this and I enlarged the armhole for it to be 45 instead of 30. And here we have the changes we made after fitting. And that's it. I need to add a strap or add 5 centimeters or 6 centimeters. And in the back, I am actually gonna do the same as the front. So that's about it. If there's any changing, I'll update. So I just fitted. This is my last fit for the bodice. And it actually fit. So it's great. I added these, I don't know, to the back. And we have this here. And actually the back doesn't have any changes except for the sleeve hole and this little addition to the strap that I added. So the upper bust needed changes, so I took off 5 centimeters, and on the breast area I had to take off 4 centimeters, and then on the waist I took off 1.5 centimeters. The back for the most part fitted just fine. I only adjusted the back side pieces because later on I enlarged the armhole, which was very tiny. For mine was 45 centimeters and the pattern called for 30 centimeters. So I marked the changes with a pencil. I then seam ripped all the pieces of the mock-up that I had made changes to and traced them onto a new paper. So that's it for this part 1. We'll meet again in part 2 when I make the first mock-up. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, consider subscribing and liking this video. And I'll see you in another one. Bye!